Good day. This is Judith Chema, a fourth year human resource management student at the Cape Peninsula University of Technology. Through this video, I am going to do a little presentation about the international human resource development topic that was given to me. First of all, we'll start by defining the term international human resource development. This term refers or concerns the process that addresses the formulation and practice of HRD systems, practices, and policies at the global, societal, and organizational level. We know that human resource development deals with the development of talent within an organization or within a company, but the international human resource development is not only on a national level but on the global level. Secondly, we are going to talk about globalization and human resource development. We know that through globalization, we understand that it does not concern only South Africa or only Cape Town, but it concerns South Africa, it concerns Africa, it concerns Europe, it concerns it's international, it's beyond our own borders. So globalization and human resource development. When a business expands its operation into other countries, the impact of globalization on human resource development and management is significant as well. Companies need to consider a diverse range of practical adjustments to be able to hire, train, retain, and support a workforce that's often spread throughout several countries. For example, let's say I open a company. I have a company in South Africa, and the company grows and expands its horizons into other countries. It will affect as well the human resource development of the company, because it has to take so many things into account, because it's moving to a country that is very different from South Africa, where there is another language, there's another culture. Thirdly, we are going to talk about diversity. What is diversity? Because we are talking about HRD, international HRD, it means that there are other cultures, other countries that are involved, in other continents that is involved, which means there will definitely be diversity, because we are not all the same. We don't look the same. We don't have the same languages. We don't think the same. We are different. So what is diversity? The diversity definition refers to the existence of variations of different characteristics in a group of people. These characteristics could be everything that makes us unique, such as our cognitive skills, our personality traits, along with the things that shape our identity, such as race, age, gender, religion, sexual orientation, cultural background. Diversity means there are variations. We are not the same. Fourthly, we are going to talk about expatriate employees concept. By expatriate, we mean an individual living or working in another country. It might be temporarily or permanently. For example, of an expat, I am an expatriate in South Africa. I am not originally from South Africa. I am temporarily living in South Africa, studying in South Africa, so I am an expat. So as much as it is exciting to be an expat in a country, because you learn from another culture and you acquire new knowledge, there are some issues and challenges that expat face in other countries, expat employees face in other countries. The first challenge is the fitting in. Because we are born and we have lived the majority of our lives in a particular part of the world, we also think that way. And when we move to another country, it is very difficult to fit in. It is very difficult to feel like we are part of that country, we are part of that culture. We need a lot of learning, a lot of education to be able to understand some things that are maybe done in that culture which we are not used to. And the second thing is the language barrier. I can take my personal example. I am not an expat employee in South Africa, but I am a foreign student. I am an expat student. So language was definitely a barrier for me, because I come from a French-speaking country, and moving to South Africa, it was very challenging to get my ideas or my point understood by South Africans or by other English speakers. So language is definitely a barrier, and it requires some time to learn the local language, which is very frustrating as well. And thirdly, it's being alone. Expat employees fear to be alone in other countries because you don't know where you are going. You're not moving, especially with your family or with someone who is familiar, which is definitely my case as well. Being in South Africa alone, it is not a great experience, especially if you have not made friends. It requires a lot of time as well to build relationships. It requires a lot of time. And thirdly, and fifth, in the fifth position, finances and money management. Organizing finances, taxes, and money management can be daunting when living in one's home country. But adding overseas travel and living abroad to the mix can get complicated. As an expatriate, you will have to decide if you will become a non-resident for tax purposes, which is also challenging. There is also health care. Making sure to have proper global health insurance while living abroad. It is one of the biggest concerns that many expatriates worry about when it comes to relocation, especially if you are, for example, a South African moving to the DRC. Healthcare will be a big challenge because here you have medical aid, you have good hospitals, but in my country, in the DRC or other parts of Africa, you don't get that. It is also very challenging when we reverse. We don't have good hospitals in my country, but healthcare is very cheap. So if a Congolese moves here to work in South Africa or to go work in Europe or in America, it will be very challenging because healthcare is very expensive. So it's the thing that every expatriate should do is to get a global health insurance and to not depend on our own pocket to pay our healthcare. And lastly, we have safety. Safety can also be a challenge because the world is no longer a safe place. There are bombardings happening everywhere, and there are wars happening in some parts of the world, and there are so many challenges in Arabic countries, in Asian countries, in Africa, and safety is not assured. So many expatriates also face that safety issue.